I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, September the 8th, brought to you in part by Safeguard, powered by Fenbendazole. Safeguard works differently than other dewormers. Safe and proven, it goes straight to the gut, killing worms where they live in as little as 1 day. For more information, go to Merck Animal Health. Early fall run, and you might feel like we're still in the summer, and especially out west where it's been super hot, feel like you're still in the summer, but you can sure feel fall in the air even down here in the southern plains, and I know you can sure feel it in the northern plains. And the southeast is getting big rains, which is kind of typical for this time of the year for them. But we're starting to see a pretty good run of cattle. We had a pretty slow run there in the late part of the summer where a lot of your sales that don't always have a sale every week, we're going to a more abbreviated schedule, maybe just selling packer cows and things like that, not really featuring their calves or feeder cattle. But after we got through Labor Day, now we're getting into here where we're going to have some pretty good runs of cattle. We're starting to see our new crop calves more predominantly. They're coming in strings, not just little hodgepodge bumper pull trailer bunches, but coming in big bunches. We're seeing a lot of those start to come to town. A lot of them are coming to town still balling with a milk mustache. And we criticize those guys all the time. All those deliveries, for the most part, of those video cattle that were sold in the summer, when they show up at delivery, they'll be sorted from the cows there. So don't pretend that they're any better than the guys that are sending calves straight off the cow into the sale. And if you're not going to wean them for at least 60 days, 45 to 60, but really you need 60. If you're not going to wean them for a long time, you're better off just shipping them right off the cow immediately, because they're going to get stressed out by the relocation. You might as well put that together with splitting them for their mothers and all that at one time. Don't short wean them. Don't sort them off. Hold them in a lot there for a week or 10 days and then send them to the sale, because then they are absolute poison. So, but cattle fresh off the cow, and a lot of people short of grass. I mean, we've had some late moisture in a lot of major cattle production areas, but it wasn't enough to really get that grass up there, and what grass there is there, they want to keep for their cows going into the fall here, when grass is going to be slowing down quite a bit. But these calves that are coming in right off the cow are highly demanded. Now, if you've got some long weaned calves, of course they're going to find more friends, but we're just seeing a lot bigger run of cattle. Your diversified producers that farm and raise cattle, a lot of them are bringing their calves to town because they want to get those sent off before they start harvest, because once they get on to harvest, they don't want anything else taking their attention away from that. They don't want to have to feed, do chores, and watch cattle and all that kind of things. That if they're farming, they want to get concentrated on that. The flies are starting to get sticky in these sales, even the places that haven't really cooled off. Not only are they getting sticky, they're getting real gentle, because they're not even scared of you anymore, and a lot of you have noticed that. But we're getting right into the fall of the year. If you're going to buy some calves and you're going to buy some ballers, you might want to go ahead and do that now before we see the huge wide swings in your temperatures. Because right now, a 30 to 40 degree temperature swing is not out of the ordinary, and that's fairly typical, actually, being down, in the 50s. 40s to 50s at night and getting up close to 90 in the daytime. But wait another 30 days and you'll be below freezing at night and still get up close to the 90s in the daytime. And that's whenever you really start to see that sick bin swell and hard to straighten those cattle up. But your ag commodities were down pretty hard on Wednesday for no real apparent reason, but most all your ag commodities, grains and cattle and everything, were all down. And so those things happen, and we don't know what to do with it. We don't know which way the fat cattle market's going to go. Some people think that it's going to get higher. I feel like it's probably going to be steady, is what I think it's probably going to be. I think we're going to work it higher in the next few weeks here, but it was kind of hard to stop that downtrod that we had here for 2 weeks where we lost quite a bit of market position. Now maybe hold steady here for a couple of weeks and then switch it and get to going back up. But we were not seeing your packers really getting aggressive on buying negotiated fed cattle. And that's the only place that we see any price discovery or transparency. We don't know what goes on the other deals. But we're not seeing them come out and buy a lot. I've been telling you guys that we are really putting the crunch down on the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. It's got to get done this month. I've talked to several people in the know, the U.S. Cattlemen's Association and some of the big state associations that are pushing the bill, like Iowa, Nebraska, and Missouri. Mike Deering told me that the Missouri affiliate is completely and totally still pushing the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. And they've got some things in the works here the next couple of weeks that they're going to do to draw more attention. But the packers have no fear of that getting passed at all. Back when we were really talking about it a lot, whenever we were having the hearings and things like that, you saw packers noticeably buying more negotiated cattle to try to stave off a little of the pressure or the focus on what they were doing. But they're not doing it at all now. I mean, they're barely buying any cattle negotiated. They've been pulling a lot of their market cattle on the spot market off of captive supplies. They've probably about used up all those captive supplies here. We don't really know that either. We need this Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act to get more of this information in a more timely manner so we can have a little bit a better arsenal whenever we're trying to negotiate with these packers. But a lot of people aren't thinking about that. But the other things besides minimum negotiated cash trade, the other things like packers having to turn in how many cattle they have scheduled for delivery over the next 14 days. Wouldn't that be nice right here when you're in a market that you're feeling like you ought to get some market position back? How hard do you want to dig in and try to get that? How many cattle do they have scheduled for delivery? It would be nice to know these things. As we're seeing that our grading continues to slump and get significantly lower than last year and the 5-year average, but our carcass weights are still, like historically heavy, like second heaviest all time. Well, it would be nice to get that information, that carcass information, a little bit quicker. Why do we have to wait 2 weeks? Why are we 2 weeks behind getting that information? We could have it the next day. That's another thing that's in the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. The Library of Cattle Contracts is in there, making that law. We've got a pilot program going right now, but if we don't have anything to make it law, we'll never see those cattle contract libraries. But we need to get that done. Still asking you guys if you can at all, and I wish that you would, and I know we've been talking about that a lot, call your U.S. representative or your U.S. senator's office. They have to respond to you. They have to listen to that stuff. They will hear your message. They will know that you are behind Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act. Let's talk about your board. On Wednesday, October live cattle were down 80 cents. We were kind of happy that they were up moderately on Tuesday, but then on Wednesday down 80 cents for really no reason at 144 1/4. December down 80 cents also at 150.07. Back months not quite as hard, down 35 to down 70 cents. Now feeder cattle for September down $2.15 at 182.02, and you think, my gosh, why is it down that hard? Well, October was also down $2.15 at 183.95, and you think, my gosh, corn must have went through the roof. No, corn started the day out earlier, but ended up 5 cents lower. But your back months on feeder cattle down 70 to down 157. And I'm just saying your ag commodities were cheaper on Wednesday. Corn down a nickel, like I said, at 6.71 a bushel. Beans down 15 1/4 cent at 13.83 1/2. Fat cattle trade has nowhere near gotten established. We're starting to see, some call-in things like that. when your packers, want cattle and they don't want to really lay all their chips on the table and then have mud in their face when they come back bidding higher later, they'll come in early in the week, and we feel like we're still early in the week because we had that Monday holiday and we haven't seen hardly any trade yet, but they'll do the call-in thing. Well, I'll bid you, 142. I'll call in and see if they'll let me do that or not. It's kind of like whenever you go buy a new pickup and every time you bid them, then they have to go down the hallway and talk to their sales manager. It's kind of like that with these country packer buyers. Well, I'll call in, see if I can get you 142, and like a friend of mine once said, well, why don't you send a postcard, see if you can give me 160. But look at what little trade we saw on Wednesday. Of course, Colorado Confidential. We don't get to know what goes on there because not enough fat cattle players in there. Only 2 packers ever buy in the Colorado feedlot areas. Takes 3. Iowa, 100 head is all confirmed. On a typical Wednesday, Iowa will move quite a few cattle, but only 100 head. So your Northern Plains guys are tired of giving up market position. They pretty much lost most all their premium to the Southern Plains, and they feel like their cattle are $6 to $8 better than theirs, whether they are or not. But Iowa only confirmed sales of 100 head on Wednesday, and it was at 138. You got to be kidding me! And then they mark them at all the way the best quality grade. Why would anybody sell cattle at 138? You can haul them to any sale barn up there in that part of the country that sells fat cattle and get 142 or 143 or 4 for them. Why would you sell them at 138? I don't understand that. I'm not even sure that we need mandatory price reporting if we don't get Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, because you get crap like this that gets turned in and the verification won't happen for several months. Nobody would pay any attention to that if we were just getting private source market information. Nebraska, 800 head confirmed on Wednesday, all at 146. $8 higher over there. Why would you even report that 138? Well, it's mandatory price reporting. It's collected through a database. It's law, and they put that out there. But it's nowhere near going to be that. Kansas, no sales on Wednesday. Texas reported 1 load of fat cattle at 141 on Wednesday, and I would say that's probably going to be the market unless we see something crazy happen with the board here, either up or down. Box beef cutout values were mixed. Choice cuts up 87 cents on Wednesday afternoon at 261.34. Selects down $1.79 at 237.51. Slaughter is running well ahead of a year ago's holiday week. I can't really compare it to last week, which was a regular week, but so far through Wednesday of this holiday week, 258,000. That's 13,000 more than last year's holiday week. So running at a pretty good clip. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services is your LRP specialist. And they're sitting right in Oklahoma and the surrounding areas there. But they are adding agents, all the time. We've got several agents working with Livestock Risk Services now. Call any one of them, and Livestock Risk Services is now licensed to sell LRP policies in about half of the U.S. states and all of your major cattle states. So if you're in there, and then they said that, I was talking to them there the other week, and they said, hey, if we run into somebody that wants an LRP on some cattle in a state that we're not licensed, we'll just go in there and get it done. And that's what they've been doing, and now they're licensed in about half of the U.S. states. So that's pretty good. But get a hold of them at livestockriskservices.com and ask them questions about LRPs. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 180.46, back over $1.80 now. It was less than a week that it ran under 180, down in the high 170s there, but it was up $1.13. We had several premium sales on Wednesday, some special sales, mostly in the Northern Plains, that brought that back up. So pretty good deal there. Talking about a big sale, got one coming up in Mitchell, South Dakota, Mitchell Livestock Auction. It's kind of a special feeder cattle auction because it is the first big feeder sale that my friend Jared Herman is going to be the owner of the sale barn. So, you know, Mary and Russ and those guys were in there for a lot of years, still going to be in and around there doing business, but they did give up the ownership of Mitchell Livestock Auction. But they're going to have 5,300 head, and basically nothing's going to change other than that Jared's going to be the owner there. But if you don't know him and you got a few wonderments about it, just go to the sale on Thursday there at Mitchell Livestock and talk to him. He's a good guy, been a friend of mine for quite a while. He's been owning and operating the sale in Cherokee, Oklahoma, which he's grown there and doing that for quite a while. Originally from Dodge City area, but knows cattle from one end to the other, and he's a good guy, and there shouldn't be any kind of a glitch in the transfer of ownership at Mitchell Livestock Auction. Talk about your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 6,700 head there. Pretty good sale for them on a holiday week especially. Feeder steers sold steady to $5 higher. Steer calves $6 to $10 higher. Heifers were mostly steady on all classes, but good sale there at OKC West and El Reno, and they always do such a good job. Let's talk about your Zoetis stick out sale of the day. Torrington Livestock Markets in Torrington, Wyoming had their big Labor Day special. Not sure if they were done or not. The government market report was not out late on Wednesday, so I went with our automated market report. Showed about 5,500 had been sold, which it's always up to date and current, but up through there about 9 o'clock or 10 or something like that. Your comparisons are going to be hard because you had this special sale with bigger bunches and more high profile consignments there, but they were all sharply higher, as you can see on this automated market report, on the weighted averages compared to last week. But just look at this well-tested market from light calves all the way to big yearlings. Now I'm going to give you a rundown on the steers. Look at 222 head of 4-weight steers. They average 453 with a weighted average price of $229.47. 427 head of 5-weight steers in Torrington average 535 with a weighted average price of $212.91. 269 head of 6-weight steers average 635 with a weighted average price of $204.64. 498 head of 7-weight steers average 747 with an average price of $194.77. 534 head of 8-weight feeder steers in Torrington, Wyoming averaged 843 with a weighted average price of $182.23. And 509 head of big 9-weight steers averaged 950 pounds with a weighted average price of $176.66. Look at the biggest draft of heifers there. 800, not a draft, this is a weight group, there's several in there, different consignments, but 884 head of 7-weight heifers in Torrington, Wyoming averaged 753 with a weighted average price of $182.69. The biggest stick out individual lot at Torrington I saw was 150 head, 738 pound steers, bring $2.10 a pound. Pretty smoky there at Torrington. Bassett Livestock had a sale on Wednesday, about 2,900 head, featuring mostly big yearling cattle, not as many new crop calves as they had on the last sale, but and you'll see that through the automated market report. Just didn't have many light cattle in there at all, but market was called $2 to $6 higher. Look at your best tested weights. 953 head of 9-weight steers, Bassett, Nebraska, averaged 945 with a weighted average price of $187.49. On the heifer side, 406 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 873 and they averaged $174.26. 451 head of 9-weight heifers averaged 956 with a weighted average price of $173.37. Going to give you several individual quotes from all around the circuit. How about Green City Livestock Marketing, Green City, Missouri, and the Green Hills of north central Missouri there sell 65 head, 727 pound steers at $196. How about North Arkansas Livestock in Green Forest, Arkansas? They had several big strings of yearlings in there. I picked out the best one, 121 head, through the ring in Green Forest, Arkansas, averaged $885 at $176. I tell you what, that's very impressive, guys. Another eastern market there, Russell County Stockyards in Russell Springs, Kentucky. 262 head, 787 pound steers standing in the ring in Russell Springs, Kentucky, bring $182.75. That's the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday. Your Macrocin, no BS. Top quote for the day come out of Bassett Livestock Auction. It was 91 head of all natural steers. They weighed 826 and bring $194.75. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.